I was actually one of the leading hitters on the team that year. I was MVP at a 500. What do you call it?
Batting average.
Yeah. I quit after Little League though. My arm wasn't strong enough for Bantam to reach second base.
Really? That's key, especially if you're a catcher, right?
Yeah, I know. The arm wasn't there.
Do you follow the Jays?
Totally.
Did you watch the game last night?
No, I did Calgary. Game.
Well, that was on after though. The Calgary game was on after that.
Yeah, no. Well, I was watching a little bit of Minnesota, Chicago.
Let's start there.
I do my prep.
What do you do for prep?
Oh, you just sort of look at the last game and what the trends are, and what they have to do to change, and try to put your coaching hat on and try to figure out what they may try to do to get the Monahan line going, which was pretty important and happened to be an important part of the game last night.
Let's start in Calgary because it was a pretty spectacular finish. We had Eric Francis on a little bit earlier. He was there. He said it was pretty electric too. But I think you've seen this obviously coaching that Florida team to the Stanley Cup Finals. Sometimes the odds justify themselves as the Flames won 4-3, tying it up with 20 seconds left, and eventually winning in overtime.
Yeah, they're a pretty interesting group. They're a pretty resilient group, but they also have some talent. But they were mismatched against Anaheim early in the series. They've gotten better every game. First game awful, second game awful in the first period, and then played respectable in the second, third. I think gave a little confidence going into the last night. And battled back. Johnny Gaudreau is pretty special. I mean, luckily, like we were saying during the game, it's one thing if he's being snuffed out 5-on-5. I get that. That's a real challenge for this kid. But there's got to be a way that they can get the power play going in Calgary. It was awful 0 for 11 going into that last minute power play. And Gaudreau, they get a break because they go up 5-on-3. But let's not forget what Stajan did when he went to the net, crashed the net, and took it from a 4-on-4 to the ability to pull your goalie and essentially give you a man advantage there at the end. And then luckily they get the break with the puck over the glass. But Johnny Gaudreau scores a magnificent goal. I mean, Lindholm, who's been Mr. Perfect in the playoffs for Anaheim, backed right in on the goaltender, Anderson, and he drilled a perfect shot. But what was more spectacular was the overtime goal where it was a delayed penalty, and Gaudreau, at least on 3 or 4 different occasions, kept the play alive and kept possession of the puck, which allowed Backlund to score. So Johnny Gaudreau, for me, was an amazing story at the end of that game. After benched third period in the first game, didn't play anywhere near as much in the second game, and then last night he came through for him. He's a great story.
How are they doing it, the Flames, with essentially 4 blue liners?
That's the great question. When you lose Giordano, I thought Chris Russell was getting tired last night. He coughed up a couple of goals. He caught up a couple of goals. He's been just absolutely a horse for them on the back end. And the kids are playing 27, 28 minutes every night. They've got to be getting burned out, especially with the big bodies of the Ducks crashing in on them. So I don't know how they're doing it other than hard and soul. And you mentioned that Panther team in '96. I'm telling you, this team has got some similarities. They really have some similarities to that team.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. That's why I made reference to it earlier. Is what do you think the commonality is? Because you watch that team play, and they look like they're together. The opposite of that being the Toronto Maple Leafs this last year. But this team looks like not only are they together, but they're having a great time. And if I remember back to '96, when Beezer was your goalie, and you had a bunch of kind of also-rans and coached by maybe the best coach in the NHL ever. But you...
Bowman was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, I was referring to you, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, it was an ass-kissing moment. I tried to serve it up there for you.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah, you're welcome. But what's the similarity? Like, what do you notice, and what was the situation with you?
I think there's a belief in that dressing room that